welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the #1 show on the internet and the keepers of your peace. I'm your host, and I think I really want to taste it, Lani and I'm joined this week.
What's going on? Must come down. Do you really want to taste it?
But all because something, the invisible, boom! And I'm joined this week by my anime vigilante brother, Taka 101.
Yeah! Can you believe that they've had to recast Vigilante 5 episodes into that show?
For some reason, you just got quieter. I don't know what happened.
Oh, shit. I have no idea. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you might need to up your settings. Like, you literally, like, just between the intro and now, you just got quieter. I don't know what happened.
What did you do?
I adjusted your volume on my end as best I can, but I think you might need to twist a knob or something.
I didn't touch anything. I'm looking at my OBS. It's setting up my
There we
audio.
go. Oh, okay, there we go. Now it got better. I don't know what just happened, but
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so confused and I have no idea what's going on.
I am equally as confused.
That's
but I'm
true.
not.
Maybe it just got tired, of just hearing me nonstop. It's like, nah, let's shut that shit down.
What I'm not confused about is how I feel about Peacemaker, but we'll get to that in a moment, because right away, early on, before we get on to the meat of this subject, got a little subject. We gotta get through our veg before we get to the meat. Gotta talk a little subject that I like to call the rundown, where we talk about little things that may not get like a full subject going, but things that have happened that we might have opinions on. First question: Have you seen the Legend of Vox Machina?
No.
No?
No. My D&D campaigns are better than theirs. I want a show. There we go. Dude, don't forget, you got to remember, everybody. We met Mercer before all this shit blew up. Like, literally,
he's always been a chill dude.
He's always there was a time when I was drinking, I got shittered with him at a gaming bar for 2 hours straight, drinking mead, obsessing over comedy dubs. That was what was happening nonstop. And he's like, "Hey man, do you want to see my Sephiroth cosplays?" And I'm like, "Oh man, you're a real one. You really are, bro."
and he agreed to be in our Mustache music video.
Hey, dude, when we asked him, he said, "Thank you for asking. I normally don't get invited for this shit." And I'm like, what?
Which is crazy to me, especially considering where he was at. Like, okay, when he was doing the Mustache music video, that was just when Critical Role was starting.
Actually, it was just when they had jumped over from being under Geeks and Sundry to being their own thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was the big shift for them. That's where they became more of I believe they were their own brand, and then they became Twitch produced as well. That's a big thing that changed for them. But yeah, Legend of Vox Machina, nope, I have not followed it that much. I know it is very well received and everyone's having a great time, so I hope everyone enjoys it.
I'll say this, it's a fun watch, but it's something that I feel like you kind of have to already be familiar with Critical Role to really truly appreciate, which makes sense, because it started out it started out as a Kickstarter thing for the show. Like, they're just like, hey, we want to animate some stuff.
They never expected to get an actual fucking... Listen, I want you to know, everyone who's ever played a D&D campaign at some point goes, this would be really great if it was an animated show.
But they could make it happen. They could actually get it to happen.
They were the first fuckers who made it happen, and one thing in particular is they're all trained performers.
Exactly. They're all voice actors. Like, they were the first ones to, like, really go out there and do this shit and get super popular through it. And so they reap the rewards of it, and they have their own show on Amazon Prime now. It's good.
It's pretty crazy, though, that one of the characters got poochied pretty hard, but that's his own doing. That's his own doing. That was his own fucking doing. So yeah,
they skip an entire arc of the podcast because of it, I think.
Well, I know they a lot of the plot is they cover what was not actually covered in their actual what they showed. There was a prequel part of the show that kind of happened off screen, which was done with the original D&D. Original Pathfinder run, and it was done as a private game before they were told, you guys should put this on a show.
Hold on, my cat's hugging me. Do you believe in miracles? I'm just like thinking about.
Am I the dad or Abadiah in this moment? Because there's
I don't know.
Distinctly different dialogue.
Hold on, take a picture. Sal.
I will now. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back to 2017. We gotta go back all the way back here. So first,
oh my God, that was 5 years ago. Oh God.
All right, so a bunch of people online are creating fake controversy over James Gunn making baby jokes or some shit in the 2000s or whatever. No one really gave a shit. He's from the Trauma Boys. That's one of the least problematic things he's fucking done, because the entire point of what their comedy and their entertainment was pushing boundaries. That was the point. Now, have all the jokes aged well? No, they really haven't. By nature, that's how they are.
That's how jokes are for the most part.
Yeah, and he apologized for the worst of them 5 years prior, in like 2012. So anyways, he was being political on Twitter, and a bunch of bad actors grabbed all the problematic shit he did and got him canceled for that reason. And got him fired from Disney, despite Marvel saying, no! Like, Marvel knew what was happening. Disney just saw it as a PR nightmare, and let's just get rid of him. And in that moment, Disney did not know what they did. They just fucked up massively.
That was before.
That was one of the biggest.
Was that before Guardians 2? Like, I rember that being the big thing.
No, it was right after Guardians 2.
It was right after Guardians 2.
It was right after Guardians 2. And what happened was in the 2 weeks where he was, not 2 weeks, or like, it was just like a month or something. I forget how long he was dropped from Disney before he got rehired by Marvel immediately. In that time, he signed a contract with DC to make the Suicide Squad. And what's hilarious about that, in the grand scheme of things, for those who do not know, was when Suicide Squad, the first one, was being filmed, the person was trying to make his own version of the Dark Knight, his own Justice League, his own Batman v Superman. He's trying to make this really dark.
You're talking about the original one, like
the first. Yeah. No. Here, let me clarify this. The first Suicide Squad, called Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
not
Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad.
The Suicide
the
Squad.
2016 Suicide Squad.
The 2016 Suicide Squad. Was they realized it was not fun and it was joyless, so they had them go back. They had the actor who was hired to film a joyless piece of crap go back in and try and make it more lighthearted and fun. So they reshot a bunch of shit and added in there for the ads. It made the ads really confusing.
And they hired an advertisement, a trailer company to edit the full film.
And then they cut it, to try and make Guardians of the Galaxy. They cut it because Guardians of the Galaxy did what they were trying to do. And they, while in the middle of production of the Suicide Squad, realized that just happened. They did it better. So then they tried to emulate it, and it didn't work because that was not the intention of the original property. So the entire thing came off as a mess, a hot garbage of a mess. Now, we got one good thing out of that. Margot Robbie Harley. That's what we got out of that, baby. We got Margot Robbie Harley.
I would also argue Captain Boomerang.
We'll get to that in a second here. We'll get to that in a second, because to get to Peacemaker, we got to talk about some of these things. So
I feel like you're taking the host of this away from me. But
how often do I come on here and talk about something we both mutually enjoy? Very rarely is that the case. If you do a Sifu stream, I'll shut the fuck up and hear you talk about Sifu.
I can talk about Sifu. I was going to until we jumped right into the main topic.
Oh, shit. Okay, I'll tell you this. So the premise of this is there's a comedic style of writing that all the characters and incidentals, and also how some of the key characters who became bigger characters later on interact with one another in this movie, that affects the entire plot of Peacemaker. And it's why this movie is essential watching for it. That being said, I don't want to derail us too much. We'll get back to Peacemaker. You have a lot of other stuff you want to talk about, so I'm going to shut the fuck up and get out of your way, because... As
I said, the rundown. Before we get to the meat of the topic.
I just didn't think we were going to talk about a Rock movie, I mean, I love me some Dwayne Johnson. Was the rundown really a worthwhile movie to talk about?
I think it is. Honestly, it might be Sean William Scott's best work.
It's true, and it is interesting that they asked... who played the villain in that one? Wow,
Christopher Walken.
And they asked him to do his best Christopher Walken impression. It was pretty crazy to watch. It was like walking to it. Wow, whoa, I need the chutzpah. Where is it? Go get him. It's just so crazy in that movie.
If you want a movie that just screams early 2000s action schlock, The Rundown is a go-to.
That's pretty good. That's pretty early 2000s rock is that quintessential.
Yeah. It was like it was right between The Scorpion King and Walking Tall, and that's where it's sandwiched, and just after that is the Tooth Fairy. So
remember, Nick, that The Rock fought Alexander Anderson's voice actor in The Scorpion King.
It's true.
The main villain of that movie was Andrew Anderson in Helsing. So fucking
It's so
funny.
bizarre.
That's a weird one, but that's fine. That's Hollywood for you.
No, I honestly, out of curiosity, have you been like playing any games or anything lately that you've been like really jiving on?
I actually got a couple things I could pitch you.
Sure.
Okay, so I'd always be standing that Power Wash Simulator, you know? Mm-hmm. They're a very fun company. They got multiplayer up running for that game now. Right? Of all games, Power Wash Simulator gets their multiplayer up and running before House Flipper. As well, I played a game called Not for Broadcast, which is Five Nights at Freddy meets FMV games.
I've heard it's like crazy interesting. I saw it on Steam. I was thinking about grabbing it. How is it?
I will say right now, are you like multitasking? It's one of those plate spinning games.
Okay.
They introduce more plates, and you eventually have to have the moral choice, because this is why I say it's like Five Nights at Freddy meets an FMV game.
I was gonna say it looked a bit like Papers, Please. Yeah.
I was about to say the third game it's like is Papers, Please, because it has the FMV aspect. One of the things for example, there's a sports event you have to film, but there's a bunch of streakers showing up at the sports event. So every time there's multiple cameras. There's 3 cameras we're supposed to cut between. Sorry, 4 cameras. So the streakers come on there. So you got to cut to the camera where the streakers aren't on to get your score higher. Because if the streakers are on screen, your score goes down, and it becomes this elaborate game. Like, some of the plots are super serious, some of the plots are super problematic. It's meant to be more of a parody in a lot of ways. I'll say
Kevin Dunn Simulator.
It's something I've never fully experienced before, and I think it would be fun for at least a one-off for you to try out, because it is. I've never played anything quite like it. Honestly, I haven't gone back and replayed it because I think there's so much I have to do. I gotta really pay attention, because I can't interact with the chat while I'm trying to watch the censor things.
Oh, of course, yeah. It sounds like something that you can't really stream and like.
No, not fully yet. So that's one of the ones I played. I played Tetris Effect recently. That was the new Tetris game that was made by the guys who made Lumens. So the company that made Lumens, made that musical-based game, they went on to make Tetris Effect, which is essentially just their Lumens version of Tetris, which was the exact same thing with all the musical cues. And it is chef kiss. I can't get enough of that shit. I played Lost Ark a bit, which is anime. It's anime Diablo.
Yeah, really it's like a Diablo MMO from what I've heard.
It's Diablo MMO with every different arc as a different video game plot. You start off, you're like, oh wow, this is just like Lost. This is just like Lost World. Then you go over to the other one, like, oh, never mind. You know what this one is? Sorry, New World. Oh, this is just Warcraft 3 now. Okay. Oh, this is now an anime plot. Okay, it goes all over the place. And I was building up to the one game in particular that I put some time into, and it's not what you're thinking. Dwarf Romantic.
Funny enough, I've talked to you enough that was the game I was thinking, but please go on.
Dwarf Romantique. It is essentially Settlers of Catan without any of the economy aspect. Just placing tiles, trying to increase the score of certain environmental types. Each tile being a different combination of those pieces. You're trying to just shift around, and you get quests to add more pieces to your tile thing, and it's one of those forever games. It is so fucking it is so relaxing.
Just a nice Zen game.
I mean this. It's only available right now, to my knowledge, on Steam, and I will say the second they get this on mobile apps, it's about to become one of those king games. It's like the next. I believe it's going to be like the next Portal. It is so fucking relaxing. I can't even begin to describe it. But those are the games I've been putting my time into.
Yeah, lately I've been playing through that there Horizon Forbidden West. I mean, for an open world game, it's good. If you're in the mood for a big open world game, I think it's fun.
Lanny, they said forbidden. Why are you playing it?
Only the West is forbidden. I'm staying.
No. It says forbidden right there, big bold words. Is the forbidden capitalized?
Maybe.
It's implied that everything is forbidden then.
Ah, damn.
It's implied that everything's forbidden. Forbidden! Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've been enjoying my time with it. I'm trying to marathon through it on my stream because Elden Ring comes out on Friday. Some reviews for it drop today, and apparently, shocking no one, Miyazaki and From Software has made another fucking masterpiece. We might have the game of the year already, but I'll wait to get my own hands on it.
Listen, they've made enough of these games. They know how to make one of these properly.
Yeah.
Though it is hilarious interview, they could not stop me from putting poison swamps in. I added more poison swamps. Eyebrows bob. I'm like, damn you!
Now the only way to get to any other area is through the poison swamp at the center of the map. And
dude, just make a game called Poison Swamp. It's clear you want to make a game called Poison Swamp.
They may have. I'm excited for it though. But another game that if you're looking for like a little quick hit of something that's very Sekiro-like, Sifu is in fact a fantastic game. Honestly, I love Sifu.
I thought it was going to be a lot more like Yakuza.
Yeah, I can see why you might think that. Honestly, the game I played just before it to like ramp into it was Sleeping Dogs, because Sleeping Dogs great. It's like one of my slept-on cult favorites. But Sifu is what they have done in that game in terms of, just giving you a toolkit and letting you work and master that toolkit is fucking fantastic. It's one of my favorite games in a hot minute. It's stupid good, but like stupid difficult at the beginning. Until you really learn it and understand it and figure out how certain enemies attack and how to counter them. And it literally asks you to make like its title and just master the game. I feel pretty good about it. Like the first time I beat that game, because the big concept of it is every time you die, you age up a bit. Until you hit your 70s, and then the first time you die in your 70s, game over, start over.
What a game.
Yeah. So the first time I beat it, I think I was somewhere in my like late 60s. Second time I beat it, I was probably somewhere in my 40s. And now I'm like the last time I beat it, I was in my 30s somewhere, and I'm just styling on these bosses.
Someone in chat said it's the better Shenmue.
Yes, actually, its combat system is fucking chef's kiss, marvelous. I love it.
Who made it?
Slow Clap. They're the guys that made Absolver.
Okay. All right. That game was decently well received. It was a bit ambitious for a first-time studio.
Yeah, I never actually played it. I hear the like kind of deck building aspect of it is interesting, but it kind of turned me off from it. But Sifu, oh my god, Sifu is so good.
Looks like they've made a game focusing entirely on the combat system.
Yeah, that's super strong. But yeah, with that, I think we can move on in and talk about the Peacemaker. Before we get into spoilers, though, just a general idea of how you feel about the show. I'm going to assume that we both enjoyed it, so I think we both recommend it. Yeah.
We both recommend the show. I would argue it's one of the few 8-episode shows that really felt like it needed 8 episodes. Some shows feel like they only need 6. Some shows feel like they need 10. This one was a very healthy 8.
Yeah. Did you ever end up watching the Book of Boba Fett? I talked about it with Quinn a couple weeks ago.
No,
okay.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
First of all, it was a little bit weird because it's a television show, not an actual book, so it kind of threw me.
Yeah. And
every time I clicked it, it was just started showing visuals. I'm like, where are the words? This isn't a book.
And the fact that half of the book isn't even about Boba Fett.
I heard that's the best part.
It is. It honestly
it's almost like Boba Fett's not the best character and just had a really cool helmet design, and people need to stop assuming that it was more than that.
Yeah. But yeah, you're not missing much there.
My conspiracy theory is this is a dropped plot. This is a dropped season 3 plot of The Mandalorian. Is something roughly was like this supposed to be for The Mandalorian, but then season 2 did even better than they were expecting, and he got boosted up to main character status, and now he's gonna hang out with Ahsoka and like go on wonderful adventures and like hold hands with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he gets to go do the cool stuff with robot Luke Skywalker. If you're gonna watch anything, watch the Luke scenes because they're fucking terrifying. They are uncanny because what they're doing is they're deep faking Luke, and they are like deep faking both his face and his voice, and the performance is telling.
There's no reason to deep fake the voice either.
There isn't.
He's right there. He just won't
he's
say
there,
no.
or you can get a sound alike. There are people out there that can sound like a young Mark Hamill.
You can recast Luke Skywalker.
Also true.
Okay. It's okay, guys. He won't get mad. He won't actually. At this point, he's done with the character.
Yeah.
He was very pissed at what happened with the Last Jedi. So.
Yeah. Anyway, on to something good. Peacemaker.
Don't get Scott's about to burst into this room and tell us how wrong we are.
Well, I'm not even saying I hate The Last Jedi. I'm just saying that in comparison to Star Wars, Peacemaker is good.
This oddly connects it too, because the reason why like Last Jedi kind of was just such an off-putting movie was because it was completely lacking in tone with the first movie.
Well, that's because they went into it with no plan. Like, oh my God, this is yet another Talkcast where we end up talking about the sequel.
No, but here's the thing. There's a reason why we talk about this is because there's a production. When one of the head producers admitted that they quote unquote had no real plan for the trilogy, they are complete scam artists and they are complete grifters because that was literally their fucking job.
Yeah, I don't know about scam artists there, but I will say,
Dude, they didn't do the job. The job was to oversee it, and they didn't do it. It's like they didn't do anything.
They did it wrong, and Rise of Skywalker is easily the worst of the three. So, no matter how you feel about The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker is so much worse.
Remember how Rian Johnson took all the minority characters and put them in one plot and set them away from all the regular people? Oh, sorry, did people not like when I point that out? I'm sorry. It kills me that he did that.
It is bizarre.
It's not bizarre. It's low-key racist.
The B and C plots of that movie were
weird. The only good shit was the Jedi shit. Everything else was absolute garbage. But anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this up because the tone of that trilogy was all over the place. It was just all over the place. But with Peacemaker, it is keeping in the same tone as the Suicide Squad, which was the soft reboot of Suicide Squad.
It was essentially the soft reboot of the DCEU.
Yes,
honestly,
because they won't admit that. That's something I'm gonna get into here.
It was the first thing that came out since they put the axe to the Snyderverse, and they're just like, hey, no, we're gonna do this now. And
that's a good movie. It was critically well received. Everyone wanted to rewatch the movies.
And go figure they went to James Gunn, a guy who has already proven that he can take characters that nobody knows about and make people care about them.
And he got to write rated R, and then he pretty much got to write rated R Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. That's what he got to do. The Suicide Squad is a rated R Guardians of the Galaxy with all his fantastic filmmaking. He pulls a bunch of unknown characters from throughout comic history, and they talk about this ad nauseum on Red Letter Media. How DC owns 5,600 superhero characters technically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they own thousands and thousands, and a lot of them have absolutely no purpose. And
Polka Dot, a lot of guys like Polka Dot Man, Savant, Peacemaker,
the detachable kid,
and these are all these hilarious characters. And we don't need a pre-established hero. It could just know that it's going to be a good movie about heroes and tell a fun story. Mm-hmm. And that's what it needed to be. So this movie came out and it was well received. And DC was like, yo, you need anything? Anything. What do you want? We will give you anything. So while James Gunn was, I think, on COVID lockdown for 2 weeks, he wrote Peacemaker. He just smoked weed, listened to Wigwam albums, and watched and wrote Peacemaker. That's what he did.
I feel like that's the way he does a lot of his things.
Yes, this is actually specifically how he does a lot of his shit. He'll just lock himself down for a couple weeks and just write something and just relax and do that shit. And that's what he'll do. And that's what he did for this one. And that's why the entire show is consistent, because he wrote it. And what episodes he didn't write as much, he had oversight on that. So there was an overall arcing tone.
More so one thing that you don't see a lot in a television series for like a big director of some very high quality big budget movies. He actually directed
6 of the episodes.
Yeah, six of the 8 episodes.
He directed 6 of the 8 episodes because he didn't feel like work to him, because this is really low stakes.
Actually, I think just 5 of the episodes. But
he directed just 5 of the episodes. But here's the thing. Let's look at it this way, though. We're directing a movie on set on an island with all the big name actors on a movie, or directing a TV show with less big name actors in Vancouver. What do you think's more easy to do?
I mean, very true.
What do you think's more easy to do? That's why he did it. It's like this didn't have to do that much complicated filmmaking. Most of it's just shot for shot and some camera work. It's really not that difficult to do, which is why he's okay with doing it, because he's also overseeing his execution of his script, which is keeping in tone. Myself and Nick always rant together about how we believe writer-director for comedies are usually better.
It helps because you have a certain timing in your head and you have a vision in your head for how it's going to be executed.
Joke execution. It's comedic execution and tone execution. And this is why we always rant about this. But real quick, Lego Movie, perfect example. Mm-hmm. If you watch the B-reel of the Lego Movie, the 2 writers who are the directors are also the voice directors. They're sitting with the talent in a booth room, recording Chris Pratt, recording, oh my God, hello, it's me, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson.
They're recording Liam Neeson, recording all these actors, and Liam Neeson, hello, buddy. The whole hello, buddy, that was improv. That wasn't even the script.
Yeah, and that's something that Gunn lets the actors do as well. Like the improv.
Controlled
in this
improv.
Show.
Controlled improv. Like, it has to not take away from what's going on. Cena's a master of that. If you told me he wrote that, I'll suck every dick on this thing for freedom, I'll do that. So he took that energy.
I would eat every dick on that beach for freedom.
For liberty. For liberty. He would suck every dick on the beach for liberty. And this show was fun. I can't get over this show. I don't want to spoil too much about the show.
Yeah.
Are all the jokes good? No.
But that's the thing. Humor is insanely subjective. So what might not work for us is going to work for somebody else. And there are some people that none of the jokes are going to work for at all.
I almost got into it on Twitter with a movie reviewer. I don't remember their name, but they tweeted that they didn't like Peacemaker, and it was 80% jokes that weren't funny. To which I responded with, "I think that," with an asterisk. I just responded, "I think that." Sorry, you missed this. Don't speak for everybody, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a reviewer. It's your fucking opinion. You got to add that to your post. You don't just make a blanket statement like that. Jesus. Shake your head. Was some of it really cringy jokes? Oh, yeah, that wrestling joke. Literally, I went, how did Cena not say no to that joke? That's just a bad joke.
Yeah. Like, I feel like there's something in a wrestler's contract or something unspoken that when a wrestler does a thing, they have to bring up wrestling somewhere and crack a joke about it. Like, the fucking Rock in the Scorpion King finishes off the bad guy with the rock bottom of all things.
It's a great wrestling maneuver.
It's a fantastic maneuver.
Someone describes what's controlled improv. Anchorman. That's a controlled improv movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a controlled improv movie.
Very much so. Like that movie's like 90% improv.
Exactly. Actually, it was another movie entirely until they realized the improv was so fucking funny that they just had to toss the other half of the plot. And
that one, you have 4 actors who have worked with each other in the past who already have a rapport, who already work very well together. So you also have to have like a very particular crew for that. Whereas the improv in this, one of the scenes I think back to when I'm thinking like the improv is so great is the scene where John Cena is just like listing off people that's
something we would
Economos could have framed. It's like, Bill Cosby, he just got out. He's not doing anything.
I'm gonna point this out. This is gonna sound like I'm stroking our own ego, but that is not what I'm trying to do. This entire show feels like an abridged series at sometimes.
Well, the thing about that is it just like ekes to our sense of humor. Like
it's a serious plot being told with comedic characters, and that is one of my favorite stories.
And that turns off some people.
It does. People who don't experience the sense of joy, they don't like that. People who hate the idea of fun, they don't like that either. People who really need to think they're better than people who enjoy all that shit too.
People who just real big Zack Snyder stans. And here's the thing,
dude. Zack Snyder's only good movie was 300, and the only reason Zack Snyder's 300 was good is because he had the fucking perfect goddamn storyboard called 300, the graphic novel. Anyway,
I'll actually jump up to say that I highly prefer the Snyder cut of the Justice League to what we got in theaters.
It's still not a good movie. It's still not a fun movie. It's boring.
It is definitely very long-winded and up its own ass in a lot of ways. That is true.
Dude, they're trying to undo the Superman versus Batman, which was a bad movie, and they still have to be in that universe where that movie existed.
Yeah, and then you have James Gunn that comes in. It's just like, I don't care about any of that. I'm
going
to tell these stories.
Don't care about any of that. He lightly touches base on it, you know?
Yes.
He lightly touches base on it. It's like, it's a different universe. Maybe like universe, like whatever the number 0.5 or something. It's just he continues on. And now a lot of people got mad at the end of Peacemaker because of one scene, which we are not going to spoil.
Not yet.
People who got mad about that literally proved the point why that version that they're fighting for needs to go away. Because literally they had a scene where a joke was made and everyone got furious about it, to which I was like, actually, that was perfect. That was perfect, actually. You didn't need any more than that.
Yeah, bringing James Gunn in to kind of handle this stuff was like a bit of a perfect storm. And until, and this is still my running theory, until they get the Flash movie to just reboot the entire like DCEU that they have going.
You think the Flash movie's coming out? That's cute.
Honestly, they keep saying it's going to.
Dude, didn't they recast the Flash because he was a weirdo or some shit?
I don't.
And then he was in the show.
I'm pretty sure Ezra Miller's still the Flash.
I don't remember what happened, but I heard they like recast like Flash because he was being weird, and I think that was the original cast. They recast Ezra Miller in the scene. I don't want to spoil the scene.
He shows up, so.
He shows up, and I won't say any more than that. But the fact that one of those heroes showed up, because it was 4 heroes who showed up, and one of them, everyone's like, "Wait a minute, why would they show him?" I'm like, they might be talking.
Yeah.
And honestly, because of the Suicide Squad, I guarantee a bunch of these actors are now re-talking again.
Yeah, really actually thinking about it, because it's like, hey, if this is the direction you're going to be going with things...
If this is the direction you're going with it, then yes, I'll be in there. I just want to be in movies that are fun to film. That is what... Dude, the Justice League was so unfun to film that it made Ben Affleck stop acting. I want you to think about that for a quick second.
Honestly... I remember hearing that the Joss Whedon reshoots were like hugely unpopular amongst the cast.
Oh yeah, they were furious. I remember I actually watched the interview with Joss Whedon talking about all the issues where he was just blaming everybody else. And what was funny is he talked about one specific story where he was getting an argument with Wonder Woman's actress, where
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. There was a bad scene. She didn't like it. And it was a bad joke, and she's like, "I don't want that. I want you to cut that." And Joss Whedon says, "I'll cut that over my. It'll be cut over my dead body." And she says that he said it'll be removed over your dead body. And I'm like, no, I believe Joss said it that way. She just misheard him, but he's still a piece of shit in every other way. That's the one thing he might have misspoken that moment. But goddamn, dude, like just hearing about how the first thing he did was like, oh, let's get rid of all this black person story. Like, my God, dude.
Yeah, they completely cut Cyborg from the entire film. It's ridiculous.
Because he was supposed to be the pro tag of the whole thing.
And his plot, like, again, I go back to the Snyder Cut a bit here. His plot was actually good. And it really filled in a lot of the blank spots that made the Whedon version so bad.
You gotta, honestly, I think you need to sit down and watch the Red Letter Media review of the Snyder Cut. Because it's brilliant, because they compare it to both versions. They specifically point out the edits that Joss Whedon made. They pointed out how fucking bad they are. With this one, I want to talk so many details about Peacemaker, because it is in keeping in tone with rated R. The show itself is rated R. It has that James Gunn indie level of gore, like just explosions, blood. But I feel like they do it in the proper context.
In a lot of senses, yes. I mean, it's a show that sticks to the vibe and the feel that you got from the Suicide Squad, which makes it like, a good successor to that. And I mean, it is an immediate sequel, basically.
It is. It's a direct sequel.
It's a
direct sequel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what I didn't expect was that I'd end up loving like the entire cast.
Bingo. That was the one thing that when I saw the cast list announced, I went, all right, I know Abadayo's actress. She's fantastic on Orange is the New Black, one of the best actresses of the entire show. I didn't know Murn's actor. I know the two actors were from the actual movie themselves. And I did know that Harcourt's actress is legitimately James Gunn's partner. And I went like, he's gonna bust his ass to make this good as shit here. They cast Robert Patrick as Peacemaker's dad, already on like a heavyweight of Hollywood. And they cast a bunch of, technically, oh fucking hell, the guy who played Vigilante was recast 5 episodes in, and James Gunn personally went back and reshot all those scenes.
Yeah, and he was fantastic. And the character that really surprised me, that I did not expect to like nearly as much, but the show made me love him. Steve Agee is Economos.
Economos is a very interesting. All those characters were perfectly cast because each of them were. God damn! It's just I didn't think I'd like everybody, but they all mix really well with not being. This is not a great team, but they kind of pull it together towards the end, And it really does feel like they earn it. It really does feel like they earn that shit. We have not even talked about John Cena, really. We're gonna get to him.
Not yet, yeah, but
we're gonna get to him because we're talking about everybody else. Now, apparently, Murn's actor has been cast in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 now.
That doesn't shock me.
As a big name character.
James Gunn loves working with, anybody that he works with on a previous project, and he ends up liking working with them. Bam, he brings them into another one.
Which is
like he's loyal like that.
Oh yeah, no, he's one of those guys that you were there for me when no one else was. Why do you think he keeps casting? Oh my God, Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting his name. Fucking hell, not Norman Reedus. Christ alive.
I
Mary
know.
Poppins, y'all. Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah. God, I can't remember the actor's name either. And I met him. Shit.
I know. This is for shame. This is for shame.
It is shame.
And for shame upon you.
I feel
Someone's gonna say
shame.
it in chat. Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker
is a guy who literally his first acting role was playing a massive serial killer and barely got cast in anything for a long ass time.
Yeah,
if you look up his career has been very interesting.
Yeah, his big break was when he hit the Walking Dead. That's when his Hollywood profile just shot up.
Actually, he was in a much bigger Hollywood movie than that beforehand. Technically, Burning Mississippi Burning.
I don't remember that one.
That was a 1980s, 1990s movie about like the KKK and racism, and he played one of the racists. And he played a racist cop, and whoo boy was he stellar performance. Because don't forget how his accent sounds, right?
It's, very thematic for what we deal with in Peacemaker as well. Like there's the show gets highly political and
I will say this is a show that both showcases racism and how ugly it is in it, how like that.
But also how it forms.
How it forms, how it develops, how people are in denial of it, how it affects people, how even though you know it's bad, people will still try and make excuses for people. They talk about the long-term effects of it. And at the same time, in the same show, they will have a 30-second unbroken POC LGBTQ kissing scene for 30 seconds straight, uninterrupted, in the same fucking show. It is a one-of-a-fucking-kind show that does not skirt away from showing things. It doesn't skirt away from using the language people would use as well, and that was very upsetting for some people. They could not handle, and I don't blame them. I'm not going to say that, you stop being cowards, you got to deal with it. Not everyone can. That being said, I think it is artistically important for when you are portraying hate in a scenario where there are stakes and that is part of the plot, having them not say swear words or the words that are would be used in that moment is kind of a lie. You know what I mean? There's a good example of this in South Park. You know that episode where the hamsters attack, the guinea pigs attack the city?
Yep.
And Randy's just running around. Oh my God!
It's everywhere!
I'm so startled. I'm so startled. It's because when specifically this was all about the movie Cloverfield. It was a PG-13 action movie where a city's under attack. No one says shit or fuck.
Yeah.
At all.
And it's noticeable.
That. And it becomes almost apparent that they're intentionally not swearing, and it becomes weird.
This is so scary! Oh gosh!
No, like, oh my God! Oh damn it! What's happening? Oh my goodness! This is all awful. I'm like, no, you'd be like, oh my fucking God! What the fuck is going on? That is what an actual person
you'd also put down the camera, so I mean, you already have the suspension of disbelief.
Yes! Which is why Randy kept running out of buildings. Oh, getting shots of the guinea pigs. Why'd you do that, Randy? Oh, I got a real good shot of it, Sharon.
Got a real good shot.
Got a real good shot, Sharon.
But it really startled me.
It's why when it comes to serious subject material, using the actual language, no matter how awful it is important to show the stakes and the actual truth of what it is when that is part of it. And this show is one of those things because it tackles who Peacemaker's father is, who is essentially a racism supervillain.
Yep, a white supremacist supervillain.
He's called the White Dragon, everybody. Okay? That's the level we're at here. So, and
yeah, like the first time you see him is when, like, you know, Cena gets let out from Project X, and he like just kind of like leaves the hospital. You have that great scene where he's talking to the custodian. He's like, "Oh, you're that. Yeah, you're that. Oh, you're that racist. You're that racist.
You're the racist super. What? No.
You're the racist supervillain. No, I'm a hero. You kill a lot of black people. I kill white people too. Yeah, but mostly. Okay, fine.
No. You kill a disproportionate amount of minorities. Fine,
okay, fine. Okay, how about this? I promise I will kill more white people. Okay.
Is that better? Yes. Thank
yes.
you. No. The thing is, you stop criminals. Yes, you need to be looking at white people just as much as you look at all the other ethnicities.
All right, that's fair.
That's a fair point.
That's a fair point.
It's first episode. It's amazing.
It's the first conversation.
It's the first real conversation one-on-one, because there's a dialogue with the doctor before that scene, but that's like the first comedy conversation.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to the house with Peacemaker's dad, and he's just sitting there watching like an Alex Jones allegory.
Yeah, Alex Jones, and literally the only way he can relate to his father is he explains how it was not Deadeye or Deadshot or Bloodshot.
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport was tortured by his father, and
That's the first time you see his father laugh or smile. It might be the only time you see him laugh or smile.
That's the only time you see him laugh or smile in the entire thing is when he's laughing at Bloodsport's torture being explained to him, howling with laughter. This is the level of piece of shit this guy is. And when Robert Patrick talked about playing Peacemaker's dad, and he said that one of the best things for him was James Gunn, there's nothing redeemable about this piece of shit. And Robert Patrick was like, I'm in. Did Peacemaker ever tell his dad Bloodsport was black? They didn't even get to that part.
I don't think he mentioned that.
That never got brought up. He actually skirted that relatively. Gunn skirted that part. They showed the racist without showing them being directly racist towards minorities. Does that make sense? Except for the dad just saying bad shit to the cop. Saying shit to the cop. That's different, though. That's different.
Saying shit to the cop and being overtly a member of... I mean, I guess the Klan, but they changed the outfit.
Once he got in prison.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say any more than that. It's very obvious that he went back down that pathway the second everything went down. And Robert Patrick was excited for the role because he was tired of playing villains that were redeemable. He wanted to play an really irredeemable piece of shit because that's more fun.
And where they go with it in the show, and I think
we can't spoil the ending. We can't spoil the ending.
Honestly, I feel like at this point, like, we can't really talk much more about the show without going into some spoilers. So.
You want to go into some spoilers?
I'm going to say from this point onward, spoiler warnings for Peacemaker. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend it. I think it's very strong.
Now that we can talk about this, I can talk about one of my favorite actors who joined the cast halfway through the show, and that is the special agent who Amanda Waller sends to help Myrn.
Oh yeah.
Now that actor, I have seen him in some of his earlier work. That actor in particular is one of the best actors they have on the entire cast list, because that actor plays the Swede on Hell on Wheels.
Oh, I haven't seen that show.
It is okay. It's okay. Decent ending. Decent ending.
But I'm guessing it's a good character for you to remember.
Yes. The Swede was probably one of the best character villains I've ever seen in a television show. Because he's very petulant. It's just, but he's speaking with it. He's essentially a guy who excused cannibalism during the Civil War because his men were starving. It's the kind of guy he was. So this kind of character we're dealing with. So when I saw him appear in this show, I'm like, good. This guy's getting more big name roles. That guy's getting more big name roles now because he's such a fantastic character actor, like you saw in that.
Oh yeah. Especially in like the later scene when he's like, he has like the best creepy fake smile in that shot. That one horrifying shot, which we'll get to later.
We're gonna talk about this here. So the plot line begins. Peacemaker gets out of jail, surrounded by all these agents. Once he finally gets home, and he's told he's gonna be put on a mission, puts on his new outfit, goes to the meeting in his full costume, and you start seeing Peacemaker's casual sexism, casual racism that just kind of low key he's not even fully aware of. And that's part of the plot. It's
just something he learns, and once he's corrected on something and learns like why it's bothering somebody, it's like, okay, and he changes it.
It's sweet. It's like the one thing is he refers to a waitress as Sweet Cheeks in the first episode, and everyone dead ass looks at him like, the fuck did you just say? Waitress was polite and nice. He's like, Sweet Cheeks, yeah, she has sweet cheeks on her face. Dude, that means you have a nice ass. What? That's not what I meant. And they start breaking down what his interpretation of the phrasing meant. Mm-hmm. And they break it down what it actually comes across as. And they start having these conversations immediately. And I love it because these are the kinds of conversations you got to have. And it's how it's so organically worked into this plot line. Then they intentionally don't tell Cena anything. Okay, we're gonna have to give away who the villain of this plot line is. Okay, it is an invading alien species. Yep. They're actually refugees technically.
Well, they're an invasive species.
They are an invasive species that are
species of butterflies
that are in space bugs, essentially. That they are able, with bigger creatures, they are able to utilize their brainstem.
Yeah, they basically get into the head and...
Oh, no. Let's fully do this shit. They will fly in an orifice of any kind. The ass or the mouth.
But the closer it is to the brain is usually what they'll do.
The better. It's quicker. So they'll dig through the back of the head, dig into the brain, and pretty much
all of the ones we see in the show are through the mouth, and the first time you see that happen is horrifying.
It is horrifying,
and it's shocking because it happens to a character that you think is going to be like, okay, this is going to be the person that kind of figures everything out.
It was a fake
out. Every person character.
It was the fake out.
Yeah,
it was a complete fake out.
And then when the moment happens and they get taken by this creature, it's like, oh shit!
There's a
and you watch it. The whole scene is played out in horrifying detail.
You're trying to, and here's the thing. And there's another scene that happens later on, which was essentially that, but with 100 people all at once, and it is
one of probably the coolest musical montages in the entire show.
I will never rewatch that scene because it actually made me so physically uncomfortable I couldn't rewatch it, and that's why James Gunn is good at this shit. James Gunn likes his existential
body horror.
Body horror and existential horror. It's like with Starro, for example. I mean, Slither. Slither was one of his movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first movie I ever saw of his was Slither.
Yeah, that was his first big.
That is full of body horror.
Oh yeah, there's some of his dude. He's a trauma guy. That's where he got started, was body horror. So, which is why when they got to Starro and the way the Starro operates, how it is a omniscient creature that shoots out its copies of itself and it locks onto it, and then they all speak for it. It's all one big hive mind, essentially. But the thing is, the creature sinks into the face to the bone of the head. These ones go through the mouth.
It claws in through the back of the mouth to get into the brain.
To pretty much plug themselves into their human mech, and that's how they take over. And that is, they are not a hive mind, though. They are each individuals of their own. And that is what the plot is about, is the entire plot of Peacemaker is about being controlled. That is, the plot is about being controlled.
Yeah, it's about control versus freedom, and like trying to figure out what peace is in terms of the greater good.
Bingo. They are able to play with all these terms properly by showing the proper stakes in that regard as well. The enemy is so perfect. First I didn't know how to feel about this, but I realized more and more why it's a perfect kind of enemy. Especially when it gives away what their major purpose are doing on that, because not every single one of these aliens agree. And to get into spoilers, one of the team members is one of them too, and we find that out halfway through the plot. We're talking about spoilers, right? We can talk about this.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
sorry, my cat was trying to eat at the label on my drink.
So one of the characters is that as well, but this character wants to stop the butterflies.
Yeah, this character does not want the butterflies to basically take over humanity.
Doesn't agree with their methods. Their methods are not good. And there's a line of dialogue I love that they use. Why did you do that? He's a warrior. It's his gesture, and their caste system. Their species are a caste system too, which that makes it so interesting. It's very, someone pointed out, it's very go all old. Yes, exactly. It's very go all old, but instead of the process of what they do, it's like they literally fly into your mouth and crawl into you like a parasite.
And the way they play with it, kind of philosophically, the idea that these creatures all come from a planet that, much like Earth, their native species just kind of ruined it.
Yeah,
by polluting it, and they had to go find a new planet. They found this one. It's like, oh shit, these creatures are doing the exact same thing. We have to stop them by inhabiting the brains of the ones that actually have power to stop this.
They go after the 1%, and they even mentioned the reason why this investigation began because a private jet crashed, and when they were performing 2 autopsies on 2 in the bodies, because of all the massive trauma, they discovered 2 bugs in the brains of 2 massive actors. And like, the fuck is going on? So then they started digging into it. They're like, oh my God, they've literally infected. They literally took the lizard conspiracy theory and made it real.
Yeah, lizard people.
But it was bug people. That's what they did. Yeah.
And so you have this like insurmountable threat, especially after I think like episode 2 or 3, when you get a shot of this map showing where all of these butterfly agents are, and they're everywhere, all over the world.
No, yeah, they've been slowly doing this. That's why this has been a very slow invasion, because they were trying to position themselves. They've been doing it for decades.
Yeah, they're trying to get into the seats of power where they can stop humanity from destroying the Earth for habitable life.
And them as well.
So, yeah, and them, and, you know, trying to save themselves along with it. So
there's
this weird...
They can keep living because they can just go get a new host.
Yeah, but they can keep living because they can get a new host, but if the host can't survive on the planet and like no life can survive on the planet, then nothing is going to. So they're technically trying to do this for the greater good, but they're doing it in such a horrifying way.
But in their eyes, and this is why this is a brilliant plot, in their eyes, what they're doing is fine because in the end, mathematically, what they're doing is necessary. Mm-hmm. It is a cost assessment. So all the fucked up shit they're doing, it's like in their eyes, yeah, we're good guys.
It's literally the idea of would you give in to authoritarianism if it meant protecting everything? If it meant that, yeah.
Which is pretty crazy because one of the first guys they go after to assassinate, who is a butterfly, is a politician who is constantly proposing radical climate change legislation. They say that, actually. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, I wonder why. But they're still awful people. It doesn't matter what they're pushing for. It's all for the greater good. All this fucked up evil shit they're doing. It's why this is just it was just fantastic. And I will point out, how hard did you laugh when they went to the bottling plant? How hard did you laugh in the initial part of that scene?
Oh, just like when he walks in and Abadai was like, oh yeah, be cool.
We're gonna be cool. We're gonna figure out. Some of these might be because he has a X-ray goggles that can see if there's a bug in people's head.
Yeah, and she just goes in and starts talking to people. They're smiling. He walks in.
Hello, how's it going?
Boom!
He just
blows
starts
the person's head off.
He's like, oh yeah, they're all bugs. Oh
it's
yeah.
Like, I thought you said you'd be cool. Do I not look cool to you right now?
Cena's so calm, like, oh, I don't even mind killing these guys. They're not human.
and I think that's a good point to like bring into the fact that I think John Cena in this is fantastic.
John Cena did something in this thing. So a lot of people like to talk about wrestlers who get into acting because they always compare it to like Hulk Hogan and shit.
Yeah, he was the first one to like really go mainstream, but he was not an actor.
Now we look at all the success The Rock had. Mm-hmm. And now Cena's having the same thing. Batista had it before Cena. And Batista was also cast by James Gunn. Mm-hmm. See, James Gunn's finally figured out how you cast a superhero. You got to cast someone who's a little bit over the top. Because that's superheroes. They're a little bit over the top. They are. They kind of come across a bit odd next to regular ass people. And they're
Batista,
a bit... And John Cena being like 6'6" and being his body structure he has, he looks like a giant action figure next to everybody. Mm-hmm. And that is imperative. And that actually makes him stand out more. And that is why it works so well. And honestly, I really do hope more Hollywood actors realize that some of these over-the-top characters, cast a wrestler. These are great performers, capable of fantastic performing. See, people ask why Cena's so good at improv. Motherfucker had to make good content out of absolute garbage for a decade and a half.
Mm-hmm. And he was one of the few that was like given freedom to improvise.
And he was also the one they trusted with the most weird shit they had, too. And he always kind of made it work because he was the master of spinning stuff into a W.
Yep.
And now that and here's the thing, he was dealing with shitty writers and he was succeeding. Now that he has a good writer behind his dialogue and control and working with his improv.
And he has had years and years of like, refinement. You know, being able to try to like refine his ability to act. Because do you remember his like early acting career back in the mid 2000s?
He didn't actually
with WWE Pictures.
Well, all he had to ever do was be an action star. He didn't actually have to act. He just had to be cool. That was his performance. You have to be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, fun story. His first movie was The Marine, and the main villain was Robert Patrick.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. I never saw The Marine.
That's actually one of the reasons why he got cast, because Cena and him are friends.
But he had this time to like refine his abilities through these less than good movies, and
not the best. The Rock had the same journey though. Batista had the same journey.
Let's be honest. The first time The Rock showed up in a movie, he was basically a PlayStation 2 model at the very end of the second Mummy movie.
It sucks knowing that he filmed all those scenes in the first part of the Mummy 2, and he was sick as shit and could barely stand up. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, that sucks. Imagine having the flu and you're sitting there trying to act in your first Hollywood movie. I would be so furious.
Yeah.
And like it's proven that this works time and time again because Batista, out of all of them, is the best actor.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
no. You have to be a certain level of talent to get cast in a Blade Runner movie, okay? You know?
He also had a very specific look that I think they were going for, and that's very important in the live action acting world.
Yes, he is. Everyone forgets that Batista's actually in his 50s. Batista didn't start wrestling until his mid-30s.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone forgets about that. I know.
Taka, there's still hope for us.
Oh yeah, you kidding me? DDP didn't start wrestling until 36, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jake, like a lot of these guys, like don't start wrestling until their mid-30s and shit. And people are like, I'm not gonna train you. You're too young. Why?
Of course, I think it's a bit harder these days because the talent pool for wrestling is so massive.
Here's the thing. You know what's a hilarious tidbit? Batista was one of the last students brought on at WCW Power Plant.
No kidding.
No joke. You can find photos of it. He's in his early 20s. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Has
Batista done anything good other than Guardians? Yes, right. He's done a lot of good shit. He's in a lot of good movies. He is. Like, almost every movie he's in, he's one of the best parts about it.
I'll say this. He was really wasted in, I think it was Spectre, the James Bond movie. He had no lines.
Biggest waste. DDP got his first world championship at 42 years old. There's no rules in this. Yeah. You know? He has amazing comedic timing, too. Oh, yeah, we watched WWE, guys. His comedic timing when he was a villain was amazing.
And he seems like a genuinely cool dude. I sat like directly in front of him on an airplane once.
And he was just chill, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just most of these guys are just chill and they want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like I remember I've had the opportunity to meet a couple wrestlers, but sorry, we'll get back to talking about this. But John, he gets the ability in this show, and I know why he said yes to this show instead of more movies. In this show, he got to show his full range of performing. And all the other movies, he's not been able to do that.
He got to really act, and there are some really heart-touching scenes that he's actually like acts the hell out of.
Yeah, my favorite parts are the parts where he's clearly suppressing his emotions in like a bathroom, because we've all done that, but it was so believable. But in particular, when he's joking about something and someone's like, God, why are you so mad? And he immediately turns and snaps his head, and you see the blinding anger he's holding back.
Which is why he and Adrian, the vigilante, work so well together, because another fucking fantastic performance, by the way, with somebody who has no moral compass.
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's one of his lines. Right? It had nothing to do with anything.
My favorite bit with him was in the veterinarian's office, where he's talking about like taping that. I was like, so wait, you're okay with shooting them cold dead in the face, but
you draw the line.
But irritating their wrists is what bothers you. He takes that moment. You can really see the gears turning in his head. Like he looks up.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to know why he feels that way? Because he was tied up with duct tape earlier in an episode of the season.
And more so, logically speaking, if they're dead, they're not going to care. But if they have to wake up with itchy wrists, fuck that. Like you have to deal with it.
We're gonna have to talk about the torture scene in the third episode real quick here. It is one of the funniest scenes in the whole goddamn movie, because Cena's tied up. And the character we haven't brought up, which is, of course, being Judo Master. Give me some more Judo Master! More Judo Master! I fucking love Judo Master. He was so hilarious. Big man, so strong. He's just like, you're so cute. I want to put you in my pocket, take you out of special occasions. Hey, if I pull my Achilles tendon, can I replace it with your entire body? Oh, so tough, big man.
So
sitting
tough,
there.
Big, strong man.
Remember when I fucked you up? I went, oh, I love this guy. Oh, I love him. Remember when I fucked you up?
I looked him up afterwards, trying to figure out if I had seen him in anything else, and I really hadn't. I mean, he's been acting I think since 2013, but I just haven't seen him in anything, and he's great.
Here's the thing: he's really short, so he just hasn't had that many opportunities to perform.
But apparently he plays a lot of creatures.
Yeah, that's how they usually cast, bring all 4 feet of him back. They're gonna bring him back, guys. That's why there was a scene at the end of the show where it's pretty clear that they're gonna bring him back. They're not done with him yet, which is good, because fucking hell, I love his character. Because he's not a butterfly, but he was working with them.
Yeah, he was not a butterfly, but he believed in what they were doing. Honestly, you arguably could be. You could say that the butterflies were right.
Here's the thing. You could agree with the points they are making without supporting their movement.
Exactly.
And that is, I think they're going to go a little bit more into that. I think that's season 2.
Like
specifically this idea.
Yeah, that's really what I meant earlier when I'm saying, like, you know, if you could give your freedoms over to an authoritarian government, but that government would actually do all the good shit that you want in the world, would you? That is what the butterflies are.
Yeah.
But you're giving up all of your freedom for it.
It's a wonderful plot, and I think the next season they're going to do with it, I think they're going to go further down that thing, because James Gunn's confirmed he's back writing.
Yeah, the fact that the show got greenlit for a second series, like, I think it was like after episode 2 dropped, and everybody's like, "No, this is good. We want more."
Actually, it wasn't announced that there was a second season till halfway before the last episode was out.
Okay. Which
people were kind of pissed about, because it kind of gave away some of the stuff that was going to happen in the end, and I agree. It did kind of give away that, like, Peacemaker's going to be alive then, so they kind of gave away certain aspects of it, because I had no idea what the finale was going to be, essentially going into it. Because of the tone of the show, I put nothing past them, and I also was down for whatever they were doing, because at this point it's execution of
especially
this.
With all the implications, and I don't know if they announced it was going to be Peacemaker season 2, but I heard that they're doing a spin-off Suicide Squad show. That might be like the thing.
I could see them doing that, which essentially would be the equivalency of Peacemaker meets Heroes of Tomorrow. That's what it is. That's what it's gonna be. Essentially, it's gonna be Peacemaker meets Heroes of Tomorrow. Except there's no time travel, so it's just gonna be Heroes of Tomorrow casts of people, different characters going on Peacemaker missions. Yeah. And you know what? That's money. Because I'm not going to lie, sending criminals or heroes who broke the law and shit off to do really dangerous missions is one of the most believable and reasonable executions of superheroes I've ever seen applied. It's one of the most believable. It's believable. Yeah. It's believable as fuck that they would do something like this.
Especially where the show ends in such like a weird way. You can't not include the entirety of Project X, and that's something I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil that.
Yeah, no, it's why I think through James Gunn's The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, they have done a soft reboot of the DC universe. They will touch base on other things, but I think the entire tone going forward is going to be much more like a kind of like a rated R Guardians of the Galaxy energy, which is good. It differentiates them pretty heavily from the Marvel universe, being a bit more safe. Yeah, and I think that is necessary. I think you can tell some really cool stories in DC. DC obviously has some pretty fucked up shit, like any story. But not to take away from Peacemaker, because at the end of every Peacemaker episode, there was like, hey, if you liked Peacemaker, you'll like blank, and they show out all these other things. And the number one thing they showed was Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol was the number one thing.
I loved Doom Patrol.
And we'll talk about that at some point in the future. I mean, it's
hey, when season 4 comes out, I would love to have you on to talk about Doom Patrol.
I gotta watch the rest of season 1, season 2, and season 3 first. But I mean, it's a show that stars Brendan Fraser, and the first season has Alan Tudyk as the villain. So come on, guys. Come on.
If you like weird, wacky, like shit that gets really oddly existential, but is also still pretty heartwarming at times, Doom Patrol is really good.
Pretty damn good performances, and I will say this. They tell stories that I have kind of seen other stories told in different plots, but they tell it in a way that it is not ham-fisted. Mm-hmm. And that always what kills me is when it's really ham-fisted and it's like over the top. It's like, no, this isn't. You've lost the point. Now it's almost farcical.
Yeah, Doom Patrol and Peacemaker are very similar in terms of tone. I mean, Peacemaker is definitely more R-rated.
Yes. And you know what? Only because of the gore. In the end,
gore and nudity.
Gore and nudity. But I would argue that Doom Patrol is just as rated R for all the swearing they do.
I think Doom Patrol.
Don't forget about the scene that happens in season 1, Nick.
Oh yeah,
must I remind you of the scene?
No, I was going to say Doom Patrol is oddly more mature, but it's still fucking weird and wacky in a lot of fucking childish ways.
You can't explore the character of Peacemaker in a movie like The Suicide Squad. You can only explore a character like that with more screen time. Yes. They need more screen time to perform, to act, to get their character across, to learn all these things about.
Yeah, giving him this whole like really going into his backstory with his father and his brother. Mm-hmm. It was fucking the flashback scene is fucking heartbreaking.
It is heart-wrenching. It is so uncomfortable because everything about that is it's his dad's fault. Top down. Top down. Everything about that is his father's fault. They called him out to fight. He took money for the fight. He said, let's go. He encouraged the fight going.
And you can tell that he and his brother, like, they're just, like, genuinely good kids. They're good kids.
They know, they don't fully believe in the bullshit their dad tells them.
Yeah, like when his brother's just, like, rocking out and young Chris is like, what is that? Does that mean white power? And he's like, fuck white power. This just means rocking out.
This just means rocking out, dude. And exactly, they're being inspired by hair metal. It doesn't the older brother, he says, dude, this is where men were men because they weren't afraid to be women.
Yeah.
That's the line we're seeing. Oh, man, I love this music. This is where men were men because they weren't afraid to be women. What a fucking line, by the way. What a line of dialogue.
and that entire thing is just so heartbreaking. And then you get this, like, oh, God.
After you watch that flashback, if they included that flashback in the middle of the Suicide Squad, holy shit.
It wouldn't have meant anything because here's the thing. Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad is a, surprise third act antagonist.
Yeah. He was a surprise. Here's the thing. It's because he had his principles that he was adhering to. Mm-hmm. He was adhering because the government ordered him on a special mission during this mission.
Yeah.
Which is why there was an extra thing that they needed the guy who would follow orders to the T, no matter what they were. And that's who he was. And that's why he got added to that mission. Specifically because they knew he would follow orders. Exactly.
But now he's dealing with the psychological fallout of killing Rick Flag, somebody who he didn't want to kill, but felt like it was necessary to.
Final boss Bowser, you're correct. And by the way, that Rick Flag scene was the greatest origin story of a character. Peacemaker, what a joke. And dies. Holy fuck. I'm sorry, that's better than Iron Man's origin story. It really is. It is what a cutting line of dialogue. Like, in that moment, like, with also making Rick Flag a wonderful character in that movie, too. Can we just say that
really reademing him? Like, the first time you see him... Yeah, go ahead.
No one gives a shit about Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, the first movie. He's just a bad character.
Well, he's a walking bit of exposition in the first one.
Exactly. In this one, he's still trying to be that guy, but the situation's not calling for him being that guy.
And the first time you see him, like, walking shoulder to shoulder with John Cena and Idris Elba, you feel kind of bad for the actor because it's like, oh man, you have to be like walking in stride with both of these guys. And by the end of the movie, you're like, you know what? Yeah, fuck yeah, Rick Flag.
Here, Rick Flag, he came, he saw, he conquered, and he ended with one of the most memorable scenes in DC Universe. Mm-hmm. One of the most memorable scenes of all time featured Rick Flag and Peacemaker.
A more impactful death in a series of movies that includes the death of Superman.
Dude, Rick Flag being stabbed and dying and saying that line of dialogue was more impactful than Superman dying. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? How did that happen? And it's why I gotta say, starting with the Suicide Squad onwards, I'm ready for this second version of the DC Universe. Because, yeah, man, I mean, we haven't even talked about Polka Dot Man, which is, what the fuck?
I talked all about him in the Suicide Squad episode of the Talkcast Podshow.
I will say this, the best line of dialogue, obviously, oh my God, we're all gonna die. I hope so. Jesus Christ. He just goes, Jesus Christ. I turned them, where are my soldiers? I turned them in,
I turned them into my mother in my head and I killed them. What a fucking...
He's just genuinely a psychopath! He's just genuinely a crazy person they put on the mission. It's what he is. He's just a crazy person.
It's just something that James Gunn does so well, is writing that kind of dialogue. Like, the first line in the Suicide Squad that made me laugh was when they're sitting there with, like, the Weasel and fucking... What was it? Pete Davidson. Yeah, he's looking over, like, what is this thing? It's like a dog.
Just the first
season. No, I don't want to get bit by a werewolf. He's not a werewolf. He's not
a fucking werewolf. Dude, look, he's Squad 1. Dude, the entire Team 1 scene with Nathan Fillion and Pete Davidson and that guy with that thick Swedish accent. Mm-hmm. You guys is your name MDK? What is it? What does that stand for? TDK. Stand for me. Your name is letters. All names are letters, dickhead.
Yeah. but like my favorite bit is like, I don't want to turn into a werewolf. It's like, no, relax. He's Weasel. He's perfectly harmless. Well, actually, no. He's killed a bunch of children, but
he's killed 30 children. But I mean, we're fine.
But we talked this out, and
He's agreed.
We think he's agreed to be here.
I was showing a friend that, and their scream when it was announced that he killed children was like, oh my god! I'm like, no, it's fine. It's fine. But the line that got me with Harley in that scene was, and this is what James Gunn does really well with no-name characters, even if they're no-name characters. He did in this movie what I feel like we did in Hellsing Abridged. Whereas we had our main core cast of people who were crushing it, but for cameos, we had big name guys who would have just a couple lines. But we made sure the dialogue was fun. Did you know that, like, for the Flying Geese, almost all the Flying Geese are like cameos from people like YouTubers, everyone from Tom Fox to Mother's Basement to Connor from our D&D games to professional voice actors in the industry to Lyle McDouchebag. Like, it just, the list goes on and on. We cast all these guys I wanted to work with because I had a fun scene for them, and it wasn't a massive multi-year time commitment.
Yeah.
And because James Gunn's movies are so much fun, that is how he gets these cameos. And that is why that opening scene was so fucking fun. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, the one line was, Harley's like, oh my god, I love your accent. American girls love accents.
All American girls love accents.
Yeah, it's because we don't got none.
Yeah, because we don't got none.
I was like, I love this movie already. I will say this too, with Javelin, I did not expect that plot with Javelin to actually be as wholesome as it was.
It's so fun though. Like, the movies are fun, and Peacemaker is fun, and that's really what matters at the end of all of it, is that you have fun watching it. You
will have a good time enjoying this because it does not insult your intelligence.
To wrap this up, because we could go on and on about this forever.
Are you lucky I didn't have more spare time to put a Peacemaker helmet on my head here, because I was tempted to do it.
I believe you. Would you like to hear a few one-star reviews of Peacemaker?
Oh yeah! Oh dude, trust me, I've already seen a bunch of people who just hate James Gunn's writing style, trying to shit on it. But continue on.
All right, let me see.
Here we go. Got some one-star reviews.
I had some pulled up here. A lot of these are political, so I had to like try to pick and choose which ones I was actually going to go through.
Of course they're political. It's going to be, dude. They make white supremacists look like a bunch of Scooby-Doo villains, which is kind of what they are. But
let's see. Here we go.
Here we go.
I had looked forward to airing of this show, but then I watched it. The series is never-ending joke that isn't funny. The humor is so forced and cringy.
Nope.
Cringy with 2 E's, by the way.
No, that's bad spelling.
I feel bad for actors performing these horrible scripts. The absolute worst comic to TV series to roll out of DC Comics in history of the art form. Prepare to be underwhelmed and disappointed if you decide to watch Peacemaker. I give it 4 thumbs down emojis.
It's like the best TV series shoot off of a movie, because none of the other ones are offshoots of the movies. They're all their own original thing. This is the first offshoot of a movie, I'm thinking, right? In DC? Because I know, like, Marvel had all of them shows, but DC, they've had shows, but they're not direct offshoots of the movies.
Yeah, and Marvel's had some pretty middle-of-the-line stuff.
You can just say Iron Fist.
I'm not even talking about the Netflix stuff, but yeah, Iron Fist was.
Here's what was good. Daredevil season 1, first half of Daredevil season 2, and Loki, and I would argue that WandaVision was, because of how different it was great, but it needed to be less episodes.
I had fun with Hawkeye.
I have not watched it, but I barely gave a fuck about Hawkeye in the movies. I could barely give a fuck about him now, and just knowing what an ass Jeremy Renner is, I don't care.
Here's another one, and it actually goes to a point that I actually kind of want to bring up in here. This is the worst show I've ever seen. The storyline is all over the place, and in my opinion, John Cena may have severely damaged his credibility as a role model for kids by taking this role. I was totally disgusted by John Cena's sex scene in the episode 1 and never thought that someone that does so much for the Make-A-Wish Foundation would do something like that.
Dude, do you think the kids, why are kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation ain't gonna be watching Peacemaker sex scene?
Also true, but the one thing I wanted to toss out there is I think, you know, because John Cena's been wrestling since the early 2000s. He was like the top guy in WWE by 2008?
2007.
Yeah, 2007, 2008. Like, he was the top guy, and he was there for like a decade. And he back then, you know, the kids that were cheering him on, by now, they're the ones who are loving Peacemaker because they grew up like, like John Cena was my childhood, and holy shit, look at him doing this shit.
And now he's in a show that literally is about putting all these politically hot topic characters in a very politically nuanced situation, which requires a lot of political nuance, and that is the hot mess of what this is. And people saying that Cena's hurt his credibility, like literally the opposite, dude. He just proved what an all-encompassing actor he was.
And again, this is the idea of growing with your core audience. Like he actually matured and moved on with the audience that grew up loving him for what he did.
It's like I can't think of a better performance he's given. Like, literally, this is the best performances he's ever given.
Yeah. Like,
here's the thing. In the Suicide Squad, the movie itself, let's not pretend. First of all, Peacemaker's not the main character. He's a utility side character. That's what he is. So that means he's really meant there to be more of a kind of an anti-hero to the main dude. And it's a perfect angle. But then being able to encapsulate on that and keep going with it from that direction, with fully doing it, like I'm just repeating myself.
He's in that movie. He's literally there to be a foil to Bloodsport, to Idris Elba.
But it was meant to be lighthearted the whole time. But in truth, that was not actually true at all. That was the fake out, which is why I loved it. That's why I thought it was just the eventual final scene is just so good for that reason.
All right, the last 1-star review I want to read here is from Sabretooth Victor Creed. 1-star review, but here's how it starts. Show was great and fun, exactly like his Suicide Squad. But he keep killing the Ayer and Snyder's version. Seriously, Superman is poop fetish? Aquaman had intercourse with fish. Whedon equal Gunn. It shouldn't be in DCU. Totally cringeworthy show, 1 star.
Dude, they're joking.
They must be. They must be.
No, it's like, dude, do you understand that Peacemaker is literally just full of shit sometimes when he talks about this?
And anytime he talks about a superhero, he's just trying to get clout for something that he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's just name dropping shit and he makes up shit. But the fish fucking is just an internet rumor, apparently. And then the final joke of the show is Aquaman, Flash, Superman,
and Wonder Woman show up.
Now hold on, everybody. For those who have not seen this scene, Wonder Woman and Superman are silhouetted out. You can tell it's the initial actors, though.
But Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa are there.
Yeah, exactly. So they're walking through, and they just tell them, "Want to go fuck a fish" or something like that. I hate that shit.
I fucking hate that rumor.
And then Flash goes, "Oh, it's a rumor," and it's implied that Flash is spreading it around.
Dude, it's not a rumor. Fuck you, Barry.
Fuck you, Barry. It's like literally, it's a prank. It's a joke in the actual like zeitgeist of their actual superheroes. That's a joke passing around because.
There's one scene where like he's talking like talking to like the team, and it kind of was like, no, he makes up everything. If he's not making this up, it's the first time he isn't. Well, that and Aquaman fucking fish. Well, yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, well, duh. Like that one's just that I laughed because they know how to execute this joke properly. And no way are they actually trying to say he actually fucks fish. They're saying that people believes he fucks fish because that's how private these guys are. And apparently, Stanley Coyote says that Stephen Amell got very pissy about that Green Arrow joke.
Oh yeah, the Twilight Sparkle bit.
Yeah, you know what Green Arrow does? He goes to goddamn Brody conventions.
As the back half of Twilight Sparkle with a 4-inch hole drilled in the ass.
I'm sorry, that's what the alt-right superhero who thinks he's a good guy was actually a villain until he starts becoming more of a good guy would say. Like, it's... When people got mad about that, I'm just like, guys, that's not true, though. It's a joke.
Yeah, he makes shit up.
That's the thing. He's literally a name dropper, and he just name drops everybody for just... None of it's true. Some of it might be rumored, but that's exactly what would happen in a real DC universe. If Aquaman was real, we'd all make fish fucking jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they'd be memed all over the place, and that's one thing that I feel like this show does particularly well, because in like the Marvel movies, I don't know, like they get referenced, like, I think one of the biggest pop culture references we get outside of Tony Stark being on like newspapers and shit, or like on magazine covers and shit like that, is that they each got like a Ben and Jerry's flavor at some point. You don't get like memes and things in that universe. And the weirdest thing I think Marvel ever did was in the Eternals, where a kid thinks that one of the Eternals is Superman. And it's like, wait, why would Superman as a comic exist in a world where superheroes actually... what?
I don't know, man. It's like one of those weird things, like the idea of the superheroes always existing, but the comic culture also existed. I'm like, oh no, it'd be entirely different if superheroes were real. Like, it'd be weird, actually.
Yeah, comics in those worlds, and this is where like Alan Moore, with the Watchmen, did something that was kind of interesting. Since superheroes actually exist in that universe, comics take on more of a fantasy element, like pirates and cowboys.
Bingo.
And,
that's why Moore is a great writer. He just one of his best plots he'd had to tell with superheroes. And originally, that's why the original Watchmen, literally the comedian, when he was trying to get it was released through DC, he wanted to get the DC rights to all the characters to tell this plot line. But they were like, no, this is too weird. You gotta make up your own characters. So he just took the characters and just renamed them, essentially. The comedian who starts the whole plot was literally Peacemaker. That's who comedian was based off of, was Peacemaker. Specifically. And I was like... And I'm like, oh my, and now we actually got the real Peacemaker having a show talking about some of those subjects that he was based off of. And it's,
Yeah.
All right. So
show's fucking fantastic.
There are so many jokes that miss, though. So we're going to end it. I'll say this. A lot of jokes miss the mark. I'm not going to say it's a perfect, flawless series. There's tons of issues. There's so many issues.
I mean, in an improv-heavy show, there's going to be some stuff that misses the mark. And again, humor is subjective. So, like, what doesn't work for you might work for somebody else, and that's Peacemaker.
That's
any
Peacemaker.
Any final thoughts here, Talk?
I know for a fact that whatever they do for season 2, just do your thing. I'm gonna. A lot of people are gonna say, I hope they'll do this. I hope they'll do this. I don't give a shit what they do. They've got me interested, and I kind of want to not know what they're doing. I'd like to go in with knowing the least, because very rarely do I get to go into a movie not knowing much what happened. And that, like the Suicide Squad, I had never watched an ad for that. Nope, I just avoided them, dude. I don't care.
I saw trailers for it, and it's still like. Still managed to surprise, because they cut a trailer showing every single one of the characters, including Squad A, which most of them get wiped out.
That was a fake
exactly.
out. Exactly,
a great fake out.
Brilliant fake out. When I was watching with my friends, they're like, "What just happened?" And then they realized when it cut to, all right, group 2, and they went, "Oh!" I'm like, "Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?" That's good shit.
It's fantastic. And Peacemaker, kept surprising throughout, because I didn't know what to expect next.
I'll say this. I've been avoiding watching trailers. I just see like the general, did people enjoy watching it? Okay, then I'm gonna watch it. And the movie I was most rewarded for that was Malignant. Have you seen Malignant? No.
I have. I loved Malignant.
Okay. So when it was starting out, you're like, wait, what's going on? This is a good director. What is this? What's going?
Dude,
what?
The police officer.
No. It's the third act. When the third act happens, you just go, ah! And then everything makes sense, and it's batshit crazy.
I felt bad because I was able to call the twist, but
I kind of called the twist too, but the visuals of it, I was not ready to call. I was not ready to call what actually happened, though. I kind of roughly called it, but it was not what I was expecting.
Malignant is entirely worth it, if only for the police station scene.
It is a movie that's a fake out, and it's very hard. It is a fully produced by Warner Brothers fake out movie, and it's very rare that you get to do that. But that's what happens when you make Aquaman as James Wan. They're like, all right, dude, his first movie was Saw. He just made the Saw franchise. He's like, I'm gonna go make Insidious, another franchise. I'm gonna go make Conjuring, another franchise.
Another one.
Franchise. And he goes like, I'm gonna make Aquaman, $1 billion. And he's like, I'm gonna go make some weird shit. All right, you do whatever the fuck you want, Juan. You get a pass.
We'll throw it direct on HBO Max, whatever.
That was the smartest thing they could have done for that movie.
I had a birthday party around it. I had people over, and we watched that for my birthday. It was fun.
How was everyone's reaction to that third act twist?
everybody was going ape shit during the police station scene.
Were they all howling? Were they all like, yeah, like just batshit crazy? It gets so off the rails. It's like everyone's like, I was watching the Red Letter Media review about it specifically, and they're like, why were all these wide shots happening the whole time? And then you realize why in the third act. Mm-hmm. And it gets you this whole movie with this brilliant setup and just good shit. Just good shit. If you haven't checked it out, guys, check it out.
Yeah, fun shit.
Mm-hmm.
Check out Peacemaker. Check out Malignant.
I can speak real quick about what I'm doing on VTubing. There's that not allowed?
Go for it.
All right, so guys,
go ahead.
guess what?
Plug away.
Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to be playing some games, guys. But in particular, this Friday, I have the wonderful Tricky Lee. I have the wonderful Spike Me. I have the wonderful Cottontail VA. And I have Saw VTube. I have an actual horny warning going up. Oh yeah, I'm going to switch it to 18+. It is going to be so horny that I'm bringing out the AI program to help lock down the horny. So yeah. Mm-hmm. And anything else I got going on? Well, truthfully, it's COVID. I don't come on these podcasts very often. It's been a rough go of it, but I have been trying to stay diligent with working on this VTuber stuff, and I'm very happy that I got to be here representing myself like so. And
happy to have you.
I'm excited to keep on moving forward here because, just last Friday we had Shy Lily on, who is somebody who just recently blew up in VTubing. Like she was just streaming to 100 people for a while there, and just a couple things went right with the metrics, and she stayed consistent, and now she's pulling almost 7K.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's gone from about 100 to 7K in a little over a month.
Wowzers.
Yeah, so she actually took a 2-hour break from the stream she was doing to come over to the bar with myself and Nim and Kim.
Yeah.
And it's been really freaking cool to be able to explore this. And honestly, I'm excited to see what more can come of it in the future. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, giggle, giggle. So that's awesome. It from me. I'm going to watch AEW tonight, too. I'm fucking jazzed.
Right on, man.
Well, they got to
find all that over on twitch.tv/Takahata101.
That's right, everybody. Or on my TikTok at Takahata101. Same name, actually.
How Gen Z of you.
If I could take back my name, you know I would. I'd just be happy to be able to shed it onto this model, if anything.
As for me, I'm going to be playing some more Horizon Zero Dawn over on my stream, and then of course on Friday I'm going to be playing some Elden Ring like everybody else out there.
Oh yeah. Enjoy your rings.
I shall. But with that, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you guys the next time on the Talkcast Podshow. Later, everybody.